Salut tout le monde, bonjour tout le monde. This is one of probably many videos to prepare you for the oral exam. So let's get started. It's not going to be in any particular order. I'm going to start by going over question words and how questions are formed. So in French, generally speaking, you're going to hear est-ce que in almost every single question structure, especially if a teacher's trying to help you kind of answer properly. So est-ce que is for yes or no questions. It means does or is. So est-ce que tu aimes la pizza? Do you like pizza? Est-ce que tu as des devoirs? Do you have homework, right? Qu'est-ce que means what does or is. So qu'est-ce que tu aimes manger? What do you like to eat? Qu'est-ce que tu fais à l'école? What do you do at school? It's an open-ended question that requires you to answer something specific. For question words, you have quoi, which means what, pourquoi, which means why, comment, how, qui, who, quand, when, and où, where. So, où est-ce que tu habites? Where do you live? Qui est-ce que tu amènes à la danse? Who are you taking to the dance? Quand est-ce que tu te réveilles? When do you wake up? Comment est-ce que tu vas à l'école? How do you go to school? Pourquoi tu n'aimes pas les bonbons? Why don't you like candy? So to answer questions, you can say parce que or car. Parce que is more appropriate, but you can use car, it's easier to remember. So you could say, if I say to you like, pourquoi tu ne peux pas déjeuner avec moi? Why can't you have lunch with me? You could say, parce que je dois faire mes devoirs, because I have to do my homework. Or parce que j'étudie, because I'm studying. You could also say, car je vais à la bibliothèque, because I'm going to the library. Car je suis fatigué, because I'm tired. So let's talk about a few things that you should be able to say. There are the basic warm-ups that we talk about when we share how we're feeling. You should be able to put those in a conversation. So for example, if we're talking about food in any capacity, and a lot of the time you could talk about the fact that you're hungry, or you could ask the person if they're hungry, or if they're tired or happy or sad, etc. So, j'ai faim, je n'ai pas faim, I'm hungry, I'm not hungry. Est-ce que tu as faim? Are you hungry? Il a faim, he's hungry, etc. Using hunger, right? So, faim has to do with hunger, and then you're using the verb to have. J'ai faim, tu as faim, il a faim, nous avons faim, vous avez faim, ils ont faim. Those are important to know. Être triste means to be sad. So then you'd be like, pourquoi es-tu triste? Qu'est-ce qu'il se passe, right? Why are you sad? What's happening? Avoir soif, to be thirsty, especially if you're talking about like things that are happening in islands and things like that. And then, je suis fatigué, or if someone says, est-ce que tu es fatigué, means, are you tired? So if I say, est-ce que tu es fatigué, you would answer, oui, je suis fatigué, non, je ne suis pas fatigué. And you could say, je suis fatigué parce que j'ai trop de devoirs. I'm tired because I have too much homework, right? That's an option. So there's avoir faim, which means to be hungry, avoir soif, to be thirsty, avoir mal means to be hurt, but then you have être malade, to be sick, être fatigué, to be tired, être en colère, to be angry, etc. You can access those on the warm-up slide for emotions, but those are really key because a lot of the time you can use basically being hungry, being thirsty, being tired, être content, être contente, being happy for lots of different things. Same can be said for salutation. So being able to say bonjour, to say hello, au revoir, to say goodbye, merci, to say thank you, désolé, to say I'm sorry. And then there are the what's called survival skills within the oral exam, which is basically being able to ask for clarification so that you don't lose the point, but you're able to get more information from the person that's interrogating you, or not interrogating you, but giving you like the dialogue in the exam. So for example, je ne sais pas. Je ne sais pas means I don't know. Je ne sais pas. I don't know. Saying je ne comprends pas. Répétez s'il vous plaît, right? So je ne comprends pas, je ne comprends pas means I don't understand. Répétez s'il vous plaît is the fastest way to say please repeat what you said, right? So being able to say répétez s'il vous plaît in French instead of saying it in English is key here. And being able to say je ne comprends pas, expliquez s'il vous plaît, or répétez s'il vous plaît will also help. So je ne comprends pas, I don't understand. Répétez s'il vous plaît means repeat please. Expliquer, s'il vous plaît, means explain, please, for example. You could also say, comment dire, which means like how to say something, right? Comment dire. So those are pretty key to know. So I'll repeat, je ne comprends pas, I don't understand. Répétez s'il vous plaît, repeat please. Expliquez s'il vous plaît, explain please. Comment dire, how to say. Désolé, I'm sorry. Merci, thank you, and not forgetting to say hello and goodbye, bonjour, au revoir, etc. You can say salut for both, which is helpful, but it's less proper in this kind of an instance. Another thing to know that a student used in an oral exam the other day, which is really good, is saying je suis occupé. Je suis occupé means I'm busy, so that could be useful for varying situations, so that's good to know. Let's talk about purchases. So let's say that you have a dialogue that has to do, or even just like an oral question that's being asked to you in the multiple choice that has to do with being in a store, or that has to do with purchasing something. So payer means to pay. Je paye, tu payes, il paye, nous payons, vous payez, il paye. Acheter is to buy. J'achète, tu achètes, il achète. Nous achetons, vous achetez, ils achètent. And then usually it has to do oftentimes with clothing. So it could be about, so for example, une écharpe, a scarf, une chemise, a shirt, une veste, a jacket, un manteau is a coat, un pull is a sweater, des pantalons are pants, des jeans are jeans, des shorts, shorts. And then sometimes there's lots of different vocabulary for, also for jackets, like un blouson is another way of saying jacket, un anorak, and un imperméable are ways of saying a rain jacket. For shoes you have des sandales, des bottes, des talons, des baskets, des chaussures. And then for socks you have des chaussettes, un chapeau is a hat, des lunettes are glasses, des boucles d'oreilles are earrings, du maquillage is makeup, and une boutique, un magasin are both stores, un supermarché is a grocery store, le marché is the market, une grande surface is like a mall, des vêtements, that's a big one. Des vêtements is clothing in general. La mode is fashion. À la mode means like in fashion or like a trendy. Cher is expensive. Pas cher is inexpensive. Let's do vouloir and pouvoir because those are really key for these instances. So you've used pouvoir to ask to go to the bathroom. Est-ce que je peux aller aux toilettes? Can I go to the bathroom? So je peux, tu peux, il peut, nous pouvons, vous pouvez, ils peuvent. So that means to be able to. So if I say to you like, est-ce que tu veux aller au cinéma avec moi? Do you want to go to the movies with me? You can say, je ne peux pas parce que je dois étudier. I can't because I have to study. Je ne peux pas parce que je dois dîner avec ma famille. I can't because I'm having dinner with my family. So pouvoir, je peux, je ne peux pas is really helpful to be able to say I can or I can't. And the way that it would be a question that you would ask someone or that you would be asked is est-ce que tu peux ou est-ce que vous pouvez, etc. Right? So it's key to know je peux, tu peux, il peut, nous pouvons, vous pouvez, ils peuvent, because if you hear that verb, the verb pouvoir, someone is asking you if you are able to do something or able to something. Vouloir is to want, and that's also a key thing because I could say est-ce que tu veux aller au cinéma avec moi, or I could say est-ce que tu veux aller au musée avec moi? Do you want to go to the museum with me? And in that case you can say non, je ne veux pas aller au musée avec toi. No, I don't want to go to the movies with you. Hopefully you'll say it in a nicer way, but in this case it doesn't matter. So vouloir is similar to pouvoir. Je veux, tu veux, il veut, nous voulons, vous voulez, ils veulent. And so that's going to come up a lot, obviously, in the socializing dialogues or the obtaining information from someone, being able to ask if somebody wants or doesn't want something. Let's talk about locations. So for locations, it's going to come up in all different varieties throughout the test, not just in the oral portion. So being able to either talk about where you live, ask people about where they live, and be able to identify what kind of location is being spoken to you about is really key. So knowing like the weather so that you know if it's hot or cold, and then knowing certain ways of talking about cities, countries, streets, neighborhoods, etc. So let's go over a couple vocabulary words just so that you have them under your belt, both orally and written so that you can learn them. So we can start with une ville. Une ville is a city. It's really important for you not to use the word cité. Cité means the projects. It does not mean a city. So une ville is a city or a town, and then un village is a village, like a small town. You could use un village for a small town. Une rue is a street. Un quartier is a neighborhood. So that's really key. Un quartier is good to know. Un immeuble is a building. Une maison is a house. Un appartement is an apartment. And when you're talking about someone's home, you're usually going to see the word chez. We talked about this in class many times. So you could say à ma maison, which means at my physical house, or à mon appartement, at my apartment. But people don't talk that way. Instead, you say, je vais chez moi, I'm going to my home. Ou est-ce que tu vas chez toi? So if I say to you, est-ce que tu veux aller étudier chez Jessica? Do you want to go study at Jessica's? You could say, non, je veux aller étudier à la bibliothèque. I want to study at the library. Or je veux étudier à l'école. I want to study at school. But the key is if you hear chez, it's talking usually about someone's residence or a small business as opposed to a bigger business. Let's talk about contractions. So you have à la, à l'apostrophe, like à l'hôtel, à l'hôpital, etc. And then you have any location that's masculine is going to become au parc, au stade, au restaurant, au magasin, as opposed to à la boutique or à l'école, right? And then if it's plural, it's going to be au as well. So aux toilettes, for example, which is the most common one, will be AUX. So à l'école, at school, au parc, at the park, à la bibliothèque, at the library, à la maison, at home, à la plage, at the beach, à la montagne, in the mountains, à la campagne, in the countryside, à la forêt or dans la forêt is in the forest. When talking about specific locations, I'm just going to go over them so that you can learn them. So you're going to say à Brooklyn or à New York, but it's aux États-Unis, en France, en Espagne, au Canada, au Mexique. I don't know why I'm talking about those specific ones, but those are the ones that you kind of need to know. So aux États-Unis for you, à New York, à Brooklyn is key, just because, and then you'd be like, mon quartier de Bay Ridge, or mon quartier s'appelle Bay Ridge, right? That's something that you can keep. So quartier for neighborhood, rue is street, and then ville is city. But again, when you're talking specifically about the United States or Brooklyn, New York, you would say aux États-Unis, à Brooklyn. So for the seasons, you have l'automne, the fall, l'hiver, the winter, l'été, the summer. Which one am I missing? Le printemps, the spring. So speaking about the weather and hearing about specific locations, you could hear il fait chaud, it's hot. Il fait ensoleillé, it's sunny. Or il y a du soleil, there's sun. Il fait froid, it's cold. Il neige, it's snowing. Il pleut, it's raining. So if I say mets de la crème solaire parce que il y a beaucoup de soleil, wear sunscreen because there's a lot of sun. Or I could say n'oublie pas ton manteau parce qu'il va faire froid. Don't forget your coat because it's going to be cold. Those are also key terms that you're going to want to know, just because they tend to talk a lot about like les îles, islands, la forêt, the forest, la campagne, the country, la ville, the city, right? To talk about like travel locations. So let's talk about travel vocabulary. So for example, we already know l'avion for the plane, la voiture for the car, le bus or l'autobus for the bus, le métro for the subway. I think I said la voiture for the car. But then you have other things, like let's say that you're taking the plane, je prends l'avion. Un vol means actually something that's stolen, or it means a flight. So un vol is a flight, l'aéroport is the airport, la gare is the train station, un billet is a ticket, un tarif is the price of something, les horaires are the hours of something. So you're going to probably hear something like il y a un train à 8 heures, there's a train at 8 o'clock. Les horaires sont sur le site, right? The hours, like the different times are on the site. So let's talk a little bit about the time, actually, because let's say I say to you, viens à la bibliothèque avec moi, come to the library with me, and you say je ne peux pas, je dois rentrer à la maison, and I could say to you à quelle heure. So if you hear someone say à quelle heure or quand, right? À quelle heure means at what time. quand means when, right? We talked about that at the beginning of the video. In that case, you're gonna have to tell me a time. So you could say, you can either talk about a time of day or you could talk about a specific time. Generally, talking about a specific time is easier because you could say à 8 heures or à 10 heures or à 6 heures. It's very easy, right? But during the time of day, you could also be kind of more vague. So for the time, if you say à 8 heures, just so we go over it, you could say 8h15, which means 8:15, 8h30 means 8:30, midi means noon, minuit means midnight, just so that we're clear on like some, because midi and minuit are used a lot. So midi is noon, minuit is midnight. Everything else would be, it could be écart and et demi, écart again being and a quarter, et demi meaning and a half. However, oftentimes it's also, it'll say 8h15 to say 8:15 or 8h30 to say 8:30, but going over your numbers is also pretty good. For times of day, you have le matin or la matinée for the morning, l'après-midi for the afternoon, le soir or la soirée for the evening, la nuit being the night. So those are also times of day that are talked about. Other key terms, il y a, il n'y a pas. Il y a means there is, il n'y a pas means there isn't. I forgot to add a couple things that I realized are important during tutoring this morning, so I'm going to add them here. First is the verb devoir. Devoir means to have to or I must do something. So je dois, tu dois, il doit, nous devons, vous devez, ils doivent. I'll say that slower. Je dois, tu dois, il doit, nous devons, vous devez, ils doivent. And so if I say viens avec moi en vacances à la forêt. Come with me on vacation in the forest. Super creepy, so obviously you can't go for a reason that you're going to make up. So you could just say, je ne peux pas, I can't. Je dois faire la lessive, I have to do the laundry. Je dois faire la vaisselle, I have to do the dishes. Je dois faire le ménage, I have to do the housework. Je dois regarder un film, I have to watch a movie, whatever the excuse is. But you can say, I can't because, or if I ask you like, oh, qu'est-ce que tu fais cet après-midi? What are you doing this afternoon? You could say, je dois promener le chien. I have to walk the dog, right? So that's a verb that's very useful to talk about things that you have to do without using the subjunctive, which is key. Another thing is when you're having these dialogues, if it's on a topic that you feel uncomfortable talking about, or if you're just uncomfortable and you want to switch the conversation, a really easy way to do that is to just say, I don't know, but, and then go on to talk about something else, right? And that way you're also introducing vocabulary that's new and it's natural. And this is similar to a TikTok trend that I like, which is like, it's a stitch like, have you ever tried this recipe? And the person's like, no, but when I was 12, da 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 da. So you can do that. You can, if I say, est-ce que tu as lu le livre, which means, did you read the book? Let's say that you don't know what any of that means, right? Est-ce que tu as lu le livre? Or est-ce que tu lis des livres? Are you reading books? You could say, je ne sais pas, je ne sais pas, I don't know, although it's not exactly answering the question properly. Mais, est-ce que tu regardes des films? Do you watch movies, right? Something like that. That's not the best example, but for example, if I say like, est-ce que tu vas à la plage ce weekend? Are you going to the beach this weekend? And you could say, je ne sais pas, mais je vais lire, I'm going to read, or je vais dormir, I'm going to sleep, right? And so you're still answering the question actually, but you're pivoting. You could also say, je ne sais pas, est-ce que tu vas au cinéma? Are you going to the movies, right? So if I say, qu'est-ce que tu vas faire ce weekend? Qu'est-ce que tu vas faire ce weekend? What are you going to do this weekend? And then you could say to me, je ne sais pas, qu'est-ce que tu vas regarder? What are you going to watch? And you're literally continuing the conversation without actually knowing what I just said. So again, this goes back to the beginning of the video. As long as you can identify what kind of question the person is asking you, you can kind of fudge the answer if you need to by just pivoting. So, qu'est-ce que, what does, est-ce que does, quand, when, où, where, qui, who, those are really important so that you can identify them. And then if for some reason you don't know exactly what I'm asking you, you could basically just go, je ne sais pas, quand est-ce que tu vas travailler? When are you going to go work, right? If I asked a question about time. So you can kind of switch it that way. So just keep in mind that when you're having these dialogues, what you're trying to prove to me or to whoever's giving you the test is that you can speak basic French and that you can understand basic French. So as long as you can pivot the conversation and keep the conversation going, you will get the points that you need to get. Everybody here can do that. The key is just to listen for those key terms that are going to help you use your knowledge to drive the conversation forward. I hope that was helpful. For the first video, I think I will probably leave it at that. I will be making more, going over more of the vocabulary that you need to know in order to talk about all the different topics. But I really strongly urge everybody to feel comfortable with all of the question words and being able to say what they like, what they don't like, what they can and cannot do, and then also talk about how they are feeling, or being able to ask other people how they are feeling, what they like, what they don't like, etc. So till next time, je vous souhaite une très très bonne journée. I wish you a very good day.